Hello everyone, this is Thursday, I believe it's July 7th, 2021, and I thought I'd do a short audio. I may put in some pictures, but I'd been looking up some information about the Coinage Act of 1965. That's when they quit putting silver in our coinage. I believe in the half dollar they reduced it. But the half dollar at the time, there were no vending machines that would accept it. Most vending machines and phones at the time only took quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. So I'm going to read an article here I found. It's in the archives. I believe I can read this as long as I post where it came from. It's the only article I could find, and I could find no videos on it. But I believe there's a question as to whether the price of gold and silver is being manipulated since the 60s. So we know that ETFs are paper gold and silver. We know that the paper dollar bill is a note you use to pay debt, because when you have bills, you have to pay debt. So I'm going to read this, and it's a short read. It's President Johnson making comments about the Coinage Act of fall of 1965. And I cannot do a good impersonation of his voice, but I do remember him being president and a lot of activity that went on. In one of the videos at this presidential site, it says it wouldn't look good if the American people thought we had something to do with JFK being shot. But I remember I was watching it, and that's the first time that Walter Cronkite said, "We have important information, but before we go there," and then they go to a commercial of what I had never heard of before. It's called Instant Tea by Lipton, and they were talking about a new era. And then Walter comes back and talks about the president being shot. So here we go. To the distinguished members of Congress, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today for a very rare and historic occasion in our nation's history. Before I make some observations that I have made note of here, I want to say to the Congress again, as I almost daily these days, in the word of the Navy, well done. When I have signed this bill before me, we will have made the first fundamental change in our coinage in 173 years. The Coinage Act of 1965 supersedes the Act of 1792, and that act had the title, "An Act Establishing a Mint and Regulating the Coinage of the United States." Since that time, our coinage of dimes and quarters and half dollars and dollars have contained 90% silver. Today, except for the silver dollar, we are establishing a new coinage to take its place beside the old. My Secretary of Treasury, Joe Fowler, is a little stingy about making samples, but I have some here. Joe made sure that I would not put them in my pocket by sending them over here in plastic. Actually, no new coins can be minted until this bill is signed, so these strikes, as they are called, are coins that will never be used. On one side is our First Lady, Martha Washington. On the other, a replica of Mount Vernon. The new dimes and the new quarters will contain no silver. They will be composites with faces of the same alloy used in our 5-cent piece that is bonded to a core of pure copper. They will show a copper edge. Our new half-dollar will continue our silver tradition, 80% silver on the outside and 19% silver on the inside. It will be nearly indistinguishable in appearance from our present half-dollar. All these new coins will be the same size and will bear the same design as do their present counterparts, and they will fit all the parking meters and all the coin machines and will have the same monetary value as the present ones. Now, all of you know that these changes are necessary for a very simple reason. Silver is a scarce material. Our uses of silver are growing as our population and our economy grows. The fact is that silver consumption is now more than double the new silver each year. So in the face of this worldwide shortage of silver and our rapidly growing need for coins, the only really prudent course was to reduce our dependence upon silver for making our coins. If we had not done so, we would have risked chronic coin shortages in the very near future. There is no change in the penny and the nickel. There is no change in the silver dollar, although we have no present plans for silver dollar production. Some have asked whether our silver coins will disappear. The answer is very definitely no. Our present silver coins won't disappear, and they won't even become rarities. We estimate that there are now 12 billion, I repeat, more than 12 billion silver dimes and quarters and half-dollars that are now outstanding. We will make another billion before we halt production, and they will be used side by side with our new coins. Since the life of a silver coin is about 25 years, we expect our traditional silver coins to be with us in large numbers for a long time. If anybody has any idea of hoarding our silver coins, let me say this. Treasury has a lot of silver on hand, and it can be and it will be used to keep the price of silver in line with its value in our present silver coin. There will be no profiting in holding them out of circulation for the value of their silver content. The new coins are not going to have a scarcity value either. The mint is geared into production quickly and to do it on a massive scale. We expect to produce not less than 3.5 billion of the new coins in the next year, and if necessary, twice that amount in the following 12 months. So we have come here this morning to this, the first house of the land in this beautiful rose garden, to congratulate all of those men and women that make up our fine Congress who made this legislation possible. The committees of both houses, the leadership in both houses, both parties, and Secretary Fowler and all of his associates in the Treasury. I commend the new coinage to the nation's banks and businesses and to the public. I think it will serve us well. Now I will sign this bill to make the first change in our coinage system since the 18th century. And to those members of Congress who are here on this very historic occasion, I want to assure you that in making this change from the 18th century, we have no idea of returning to it. We are going to keep our eyes on the stars and our feet on the ground. Note that the President spoke at 11:21 a.m. in the Rose Garden at the White House. During his remarks, he referred to Henry H. Fowler, Secretary of the Treasury. As enacted, the Coinage Act of 1965 is public law 89-81. On October 30th, 1965, the White House announced that circulation of the new 25-cent piece would begin on November 1st. The White House release stated in part, the new non-silver quarter dollar will be added to the circulation of the traditional 90% silver quarter. Both the old and the new quarters are to circulate together. Approximately 230 million pieces of the new quarters will be distributed during the week beginning November 1st. Initial distribution will be backed by production that will rise from 28 million to 60 million pieces a week during November and will still be higher thereafter. Lyndon B. Johnson remarks at the signing of the Coinage Act online by Jared Peters and John T. Woolley, the American Presidency Project, which is a website. It is a college, and I'll post the link. It's www.presidency.ucsb.edu/node/241-368. My comments on this is that this is how I got into coin collecting. My grandfather and my great uncle saw this as not a good deal, and so they started saving as many silver dimes and quarters as they could. And of course, at the time, all of the 1964 backward Kennedy half dollars, we had been collecting them because they had been how I had been saving my allowance. And when Kennedy was shot, it just seemed the patriotic thing to do at the time. I also am from Kansas City, and my dad knew Lamar Hunt, who was part of the Hunt brothers, and they tried to corner the silver market, and they were doing pretty good. But I guess they didn't read this part where President Johnson was saying, we're in charge, we own all the silver, and we have lots of it. Which is interesting because my understanding is they were going to run out of silver. If they kept producing silver coinage, that would be into circulation for 25 years. That's just one of my comments. Another comment, and it talks about silver dollars, and at that time the only silver dollars I knew about were Morgan's and peace dollars. At the time there were no new silver dollars being minted that I have found. I did go to Wikipedia and find out that Eisenhower Dollars, 1971 to 1978, were being produced and released. It had the Apollo 11 landing on the back, but they were not silver either, except the ones that had been made and put into the brown boxes or into the plastic packages that had the blue collectors on them, and those were 40% silver. But the general dollar was not accepted by the public because it was heavy, wouldn't fit into a coin machine, and the average person was thinking, well, there's no silver in it, so I might as well just use a paper dollar. And then after that, they introduced a small silver dollar that looked almost exactly like a quarter, and that was the Susan B. Anthony dollar. And of course, it had no silver in it either. Copper nickel clad. I believe 1981, occasionally a silver one would show up that was issued for collectors, but only occasionally showed up in circulation, which means I would say that the son or the grandson got into your collection and took your silver Susan B. Anthony and went out and bought a Mars bar and a soda. Then in 1986, they actually came out with American Silver Eagle. And most people just collect that because it's a bullion coin. It's 99.9% silver. And when I go to auctions, I see them selling anywhere for melt price, which right now is around $25, to, if someone is collecting them, they may pay up to $50. And then we had the Sacajawea Dollar, which I did a video on that, and it was a bronze coin, had no silver in it, and it was not received well either. Although here in my town, we used them for the car wash, and outside of that, they had no use. So to make a long story short, I do collect coins. Why? I don't know. I guess I always have. I don't have that many. And if we go to the digital dollar, I believe we're going to call it the federal digital dollar. And that's why people like Max Kaiser and Elon Musk, is it Musk? Is on the Bitcoin train, and of course it went to 41,000 today in the United States, and I think it's even higher than that in places like Australia. So this was just a little update. Still trying out how to post audio without video, so that when I get ready I can have my audio and then add some video to it. So once again, thank you. And we'll see if I can get this posted. All right. Talk to you next time.